Alright guys, we're back on the interior of the Camaro z28 1985. You know what I'm talking about. And I just want to talk to you guys about how I made the seatbelt guides. As you can see by the picture I'm going to put up here now, the Camaros had little brackets on the sides of the seats where the seat belts ran through in order to keep them accessible to the passengers. So I just made this small little guide here. It's really very simple. I'm going to show you guys exactly how I did it. Alright, now the first thing I do is I drill a small hole right in the upper shoulder of the seat. And make sure you do it on the right side, because as you can see I made the seatbelt buckles. That's basically made from a simple sheet of styrene. I cut a strip out of it and then I just shaped it a little bit, painted it, and we have a seatbelt buckle. So now we need to add the seatbelt guide in order to make sure the seatbelt goes where it's supposed to. So the first thing I did was just drill a small hole here on the shoulder of the seatbelt, like I said. Now the next step is to make the seatbelt guide itself. Now after going through a few little trials and errors, I came up with this. I have a small bit of what is this, 26 gauge bead landing wire. You can find this at any Hobby Lobby. It's in the jewelry section. And what I do in order to make the loop is I grab it with, if you guys can see this, a pair of tweezers on the end. Very important you grab the end so you don't have any overlap. And then I use these rectangular tweezers because I want a rectangular shape for the seatbelt to slide through. The shape of the tweezers is very important, as if you use something round, you'll have an oval shape. I'm looking for more of a rectangular shape. So basically all I do is grab the end of the wire, and then I'll just wrap it tightly around the tweezers, making sure to keep everything nice and straight and not lose my position. So that when I release it, I now have my loop for the seatbelt. And then I can shape it a little bit, get the size that I want, get it exactly where I want. This one is just a simple one to show you guys how I did it. And then we take our seatbelt material just to make sure that we have the correct size and that it will fit through the loop. We do a test here because you can make it too small depending on where you grab the pliers. Like this one I may have made just a little too small. Hold on a second. And let's see if I can get this to pass through there. This is the... Okay, there we go. And as you can see here, it's passing right through the seatbelt guide. So now the last thing to do is to insert it into the seat. Now that one was just made as a sample, so I can show you guys how I did it. Now this one here is the one that I will be using. Now the first thing that I do is that I cut off the excess wire, and then I make a bend, a right angle bend into the wire here, as it's going to go into the seat. And it'll sit in the seat just like this. Now my next step is to put some super glue on this, glue it into the seat, and then we'll be done. Okay. Now we're going to insert it into the seat with our super glue on. Make any final adjustments we need to. try to make it as straight as possible to even make it even with the other one. And there we go, guys. Our seatbelt guide in the seat. Now the ones in the real car are colored the same color as the interior. I kind of like the metallic look at it, as it kind of stands out. It looks pretty cool that way, I think. So I'm going to leave those that way. But you see, it's very simple to add a little extra detail to the seats. Really makes them stand out. Now we're going to be putting some seat belts on. Alright guys, now here we have the completed seat. As you can see, the seatbelt guide works exactly as intended, and it's holding the seatbelt steady. We have our belt with our photo etched buckle here. Now let me see if I can show you guys the buckle right there. Let's zoom in and give you guys a good look at it. There's your photo etched buckle right there with your seatbelt guide. And the seatbelt itself attached right to the seat. Now the photo etched buckle comes from the Model Car Garage. Their kit MCG 2089 brings a wide variety and assortment of buckles, and I didn't realize that there were seatbelt guides right in this kit. I had forgotten that they were there, so I didn't really have to make them, but it was more fun to make them myself anyway. The seatbelt material you can pick up at Hobby Lobby has a great roll of this 1/16 inch. You get 24 feet. Only problem is that their colors are a little limited, but it's great scale, the right size for a scale seat belt. As you can see here, it looks really good with the seat. And you can see the passenger seat. I have it already not installed in the car, just mocking it up inside the car. And you can see how good it looks with that seat belt draped over it. So we're going to put the driver's seat right in, and you can see both of them there with their seat belts. We need the excess because the seat belt does run to the roof of the car where the seat belt retractors were mounted on the F bodies. But there we go, and this will come. Well, I'm still working on the floor mats, but this has almost to the end and completed the interior of the Z28 Camaro. So after the floor mats, which are coming up next, so stay tuned. So I'm having fun here, guys. I hope you are too. Alright guys, time to make some floor mats for the Z28. I'm going to do it a little bit differently than I usually do this time, as I have some very thin sheet styrene. I think it's the thinnest you can find. I forget how thin that is. I'll put it up here if I can find the actual measurements. But it's almost as thin as the Tamiya tape that I usually use for this. But I thought that using the styrene might make them a little bit stiffer, a little bit easier to handle. So what I do is I cut out the shapes that I need, basically by measuring out the floor on the cabin, and cut the styrene up to give me the floor mats that I need. My next step is going to be laying a little bit of really thin Tamiya tape. I think this is the 3mm wide Tamiya tape over the edges of the floor mats, just to give them a little bit of design, sort of like a real floor mat would have slightly raised edges to contain the water if it's an all-weather mat or whatever comes off your feet onto the mat itself. So I'm just kind of simulating that by using the Tamiya tape on the edges and giving it the raised edge that you would find on a real floor mat. And that also adds a little extra detail to the floor mats, so that makes it a little more visually interesting, I think. So what I'm doing here is I'm going to continue to cut out the tape and line all of the floor mats with the 3mm Tamiya tape. So just hang out while we do a little bit of tape work. Okay guys, here we have the first of the floor mats all done up. It's going to be basically a rectangular shape, as that's basically what the floor of the car has. So we're going to do that to match the floor. Now I'm going to lay it in here just to make sure that we have a really nice fit. And if we do, then we are totally done. Little maneuvering it's going to take to just get them to sit right. And now you can see that here we have our first two floor mats are done. Now there's going to be quite a bit more to go. They're not finished yet, as we have to do some painting and some detail work to them. But right now I just want to make sure that they fit with the seats so that everything looks exactly the way it's supposed to, and that is winding up perfect. So now we're going to make the rear floor mats and make sure the car has full coverage, because we really wouldn't want to get that interior dirty and then not be able to see all of those Camaros. Okay guys, we're done with building our floor mats. Now you can see exactly where they're going to sit in the car. Now we just have to get them all prepped and ready for paint. So just follow along as we continue on our floor mat journey, and then we're going to add a little extra detailing to them. So let's keep this going. Okay, now we have all of our floor mats primed and ready with a little Mr. Surfacer 1000 from Mr. Hobby. And we're going to give that a little time to dry, and then we'll continue with our detail work on the floor mats. Okay, now that the floor mats are painted with the rubber black, we're going to proceed to add a little extra detail by taking some of the extra Camaro decals, and there were quite a few of them, and we're going to apply them to the floor mats just to make it look like it was something else that was installed in the car. Maybe they bought special Camaro floor all-weather floor mats, something like that. Just a cool little detail to add to it. All right, now back to the paint booth to apply a little coat of semi-gloss clear to seal in those decals onto the floor mats, and just to give them a nice even sheen, sort of like just all-weather rubber floor mats. Floor mats are done. Only thing left to do now is just to glue them into the car. Alright guys, now we have the floor mats all installed. We can drop the dash in it, and the seats don't go in yet because they have to be assembled after the chassis is completed, but we can get an idea of what it's going to look like if we just do a quick mock-up here with the seats in it. So there you go guys. What do you think with our custom Camaro floor mats? Because you can't have too much Camaro in this car. Alright guys, that's going to be it for this little round of the interior work on this car. We're going to end this video here, And we'll be back on the next episode with more work on the blue build, which will probably be starting the interior of the GTO. Because I'm not really sure what direction we're going in with that. Oh, I have to reattach the seatbelt buckle to the driver's seat. Alright guys, that's going to be it for this. And we will be back soon. I'll see you on the next one.